All right, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming here. First of all, welcome to Compass Family Services. It's an honor to be here. I want to first start off by thanking Compass and Catholic Charities for really putting our first family access point together here in the city of San Francisco. It's one of the key things that we need to be doing in terms of our homeless population, addressing families. And so I just want to thank them both for their support in that effort. And I really want to thank Gliffy, and for all of your support, for Mr. Colehart here, and for all of his support, and really proud today to stand here to talk about the philanthropic effort that they are doing for the city of San Francisco, for a homeless department, and for a homeless population. It is philanthropic partnerships like this that will allow our city to continue to thrive. In terms of homelessness right now in our city, it remains one of the biggest issues that we face. It is in many ways an intractable situation, but there are things that we are doing as a city that we are doing right that gives us hope for the future of San Francisco. This is not a problem that has been created overnight and will not be solved overnight, and we should not fool ourselves, or I don't want to be a politician sitting here saying there is a silver bullet for the situation. It takes dedicated effort over the course of years. It takes the ability to try new programs, to see what works, and to fund those programs, and make sure that we do everything possible to get individuals off the street. As we think about our homeless in the city of San Francisco, let us never forget that these are mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters that are living on our streets, and we need to treat them with compassion first. That has to be our first priority. We do not want to enable street behavior. That is not what we're talking about. We want to make sure that we do everything possible to get people off the street and onto their own 2 feet and onto their better lives that they have ahead of them. And as we think about homelessness right now in San Francisco, one of the things that I am focused on is prevention and diversion. We need to make sure that we stop the tide of new homeless individuals and families becoming homeless on our streets to begin with. So we need to fund programs like Homeward Bound. We need to fund programs such as we're celebrating here today that Gliffy is contributing to our problem-solving solutions that Jeff Kazitsky, a director of our homeless department, has been spearheading, where we focus on eviction prevention. We make sure that individuals, and we put a focus on making sure that individuals and families do not become homeless in the first place. Because once they are, common sense will tell you there's a whole new set of problems that we have to deal with for them to get them off the streets, but a whole new set of problems we have to deal with as a city. So the efforts that we're promoting here today in terms of prevention and diversion are key and central to how we're going to tackle our homeless situation moving forward. So I am very proud to be here today. Thank you again to Compass for hosting us, for all of your efforts, again, along with Catholic Charities and our Family Access Point. I want to thank Gliffy for your philanthropic support. We cannot do this alone as a city, and we are so thankful for our philanthropic partners in San Francisco that really make our services work as a city. And I want to thank our head of our homeless and supportive housing department, Jeff Kazitsky, for all of his hard work in driving this mission forward. Again, we have a long way to go. The status quo is simply not acceptable on our streets, but we are making progress, and events like today are what we can celebrate to think about the bright future that we have ahead of us as a city of San Francisco. So with that, I want to bring up Jeff Kazitsky, our head of our homeless and supportive housing department. Where's Jeff? There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your leadership on this issue and your ongoing support, both as a member of the Board of Supervisors and now as our mayor. Special thanks to Compass for hosting this event, and for all of the staff from HSH, Homeless Department, if you could raise your hand. And of course, everybody from Gliffy, if you could raise your hands. Thank you so much for being here. So every week, the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing helps about 50 people exit homelessness. And that's really impressive. That means today, probably 10 people are going to exit homelessness, whether it's through our Homeward Bound program or temporary rent subsidies or our permanent supportive housing. And that's something that I'm proud of, something we need to do more of. But what's really daunting is also the fact that every week, about 150 people are going to become newly homeless in San Francisco, whether they were living in San Francisco and then became homeless or came here from somewhere else. If we don't change that dynamic, we're never going to be able to bend the curve on this problem. And this idea around problem solving is really how do we help prevent homelessness in the first place through eviction prevention, and then when people become homeless, how can we quickly divert them back to a place of safety, back to a home, whether it's through the Homeward Bound program that reconnects people from other to family members in other communities, or whether it's through move-in assistance or very short-term flexible grants. Like maybe somebody lost their job because their car doesn't work anymore and they just need to get their car fixed in order to maintain their housing. Or somebody owed their roommate $500 and the roommate kicked them out, and if we could just mediate the relationship between that individual and their roommate. We need to find ways to be able to slow down the inflow of newly homeless individuals in the city and again divert people out of the system. Of course, we also need to build more navigation centers and shelters and housing, but this problem-solving component is really a critical factor of our strategy, and I'm so grateful to Chris and to everyone at Gliffy for supporting this work, for listening to this sort of new and innovative approach to how we want to address homelessness in San Francisco, and for really believing in investing in new ideas and in innovation. And we are so lucky to be San Franciscans and to be in such an innovative and such a generous community where we've gotten philanthropic support from many, many companies from all different business sectors and from all different types of philanthropists. And today we're here to celebrate Gliffy and Chris and their investment in this problem-solving approach that the city is slowly rolling out. And their gift to the city is going to help us be able to quickly implement this new strategy and to be able to innovate and to use the money in a flexible way that sometimes it's a little bit harder for the government to be as flexible as we want to be. And having support from companies like Gliffy will make all the difference in the world in this new strategy that we're rolling out. So without further ado, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Chris Cohort, the CEO of Gliffy. Sherry, sorry.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming, appreciate that. And I'm happy to be here to help introduce this new program of problem solving that's going to help prevent people from becoming homeless in San Francisco. I've lived in San Francisco over 20 years. Our company's been here for about 13 years, and during that time we've all seen the challenges people are experiencing out on the streets. It's hard to know what to do, and sometimes you have that feeling of hopelessness. Myself and the company, we've been lucky in life, had lots of opportunities, and a lot of these people on the street haven't had those opportunities, and that's just not fair. Just hoping that this is a small step that we can take to help convert that feeling of hopelessness and turn that into action. Thought it might be helpful to share a little bit about our philanthropy story. So in 2014, we wanted to make a little more of an impact on changing and helping our community. We brought on a philanthropy advisor, Megan McTiernan. Thank you, Megan, for helping us out. Megan helped us figure out that it was really easy to get started. We signed up with the San Francisco Foundation, who helped advise us to get a donor-advised fund. Really simple way to get started, much easier than a foundation. We started donating 5% of our profits to charity at that time. In 2015, we went ahead and joined something called the 1% Pledge, which is an organization that encourages companies to pledge 1% of their profits, 1% of their employee time, 1% of equity, and 1% of their products to nonprofits and charities. We've been able to build up a decent amount of money over time in our donor-advised fund. About half that money goes out to causes that are nominated by our employees, things that they care about. It's a great way for them to feel like that they're writing the check. The other half we've been setting aside to work on something that has a really big impact, and this is that project. Some things we learned along the way. It's important to start early in your company, your philanthropy program, before things get too complicated. And you don't have to convince as many people to do that. Hiring a philanthropy advisor, definitely super helpful, really helps facilitate the process. We've joined the 1% Pledge, helps give your company a goal to work towards. Something that we didn't think we could have necessarily a big impact. We're a company less than 40 people, but it turns out that we can just by putting a little focus on it. Another thing that we learned is we asked the experts, we asked Jeff's team, like, what can we do to help? They're closest to the problem, and by working with them, they proposed some solutions. They knew the best things that we could do. Finally, I'd like to say it really pays great dividends. Obviously it feels good to help in the community, and I think our team really appreciates it too. So I'm hopeful that this project that we're working on is going to serve the city of San Francisco well. And it's really a city that's given us so much. We just wanted to give back a little bit. To the business community in San Francisco and Bay Area, it's just not hard to make an impact. It's not that hard. And we want to be available to help you get started. So we're making myself and the rest of our philanthropy team available in case you'd like to get started. Just reach out. I'd like to say thank you to all the employees at Gliffy. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you. With that, I'd like to introduce Erica Kish. Erica is the Executive Director of Compass Family Services.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're honored to be hosting this event today. I want to thank Mayor Farrell for being a champion for families in San Francisco that are experiencing homelessness. And I also want to thank Jeff and his team for their leadership and partnership. And I also want to acknowledge today the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, who dreamed of this country doing better by its people. In that spirit, I certainly don't need to convince anyone in this room today that homelessness is a tremendous and terrible social problem. It's a community problem, and it's one that will take the whole community working together to solve. All of us at Compass are very grateful for our private sector partners that support our programs and services, and it is so great and inspiring to see Gliffy stepping up today in such a big way with such a generous grant, and especially I didn't realize there are only 40 people in the company, so that's particularly impressive. I'm also excited, I'm also excited about the challenge to other companies to increase their philanthropy. We all have to do this together. We all know that housing is the solution to homelessness and that the city needs to do more to get more low-income housing built and set aside for the most vulnerable of its residents. But the reality is that the need for low-income and supportive housing continues to greatly outpace the supply. As a result, we all need to employ creative and innovative solutions to ensure that parents and children have a safe and stable place to live. At Compass Family Services, we provide a continuum of critical services to help families achieve housing stability as well as family stability and well-being. We help more than 4,000 homeless and at-risk parents and children each year. At Compass, we also recognize that every family presents with a unique set of circumstances and their own set of strengths and challenges. One-size solution does not fit all. For this reason, it is important to have a range of different tools at our disposal to ensure that each family solution is tailored to their needs, as well as to guarantee that limited resources are used to maximum effectiveness, while at the same time we are also out there advocating for more resources for this problem. The best outcome is when we can help a family stabilize before they become homeless. Because once they do become homeless, it is really hard to rebound. And we all know that homelessness is a trauma for every member of the family and can have lasting impact on children in homeless families. If a family is already homeless when they come through our doors, our goal is to rehouse them as quickly as possible, again, with an eye to reducing the trauma of homelessness. The expansion of funds for homelessness prevention being announced today is very exciting and greatly appreciated. These funds will go a long way to helping families stabilize with housing problem solving and small flex grants, as well as move-in support and eviction prevention grants. We're honored today to have a Compass client, Ethel Ennen, here with us. Ethel is a great example of the value of homelessness prevention. Ethel was stable in her home, raising her son for at least 11 years, and then she had a setback, which could have resulted in her becoming evicted. Compass was able to step in with a one-time eviction prevention grant, and Ethel was able to maintain her housing and her family's stability. Success for everybody. We're energized by success stories like Ethel's and the many more success stories we'll be able to tell going forward thanks to this initiative. And I want to call up Ethel to speak.
Good morning. My name is Ethel Innan. I first came to Compass in 2005. I have 5 children. My youngest is Marianne Anderson. He's 14. We were homeless at that time. We were placed at Compass Family Shelter, where we stayed for a little more than 6 months. Compass secured an apartment for us in Fillmore neighborhood, where we have lived for the past 11 years. Last year, we faced eviction after I got behind in my rent. Compass was able to provide back rent for me, which kept us from eviction. We are now in much better shape at Compass, continuing to work with me and on my budgeting, my finances. I am also getting therapy at Compass at this time right now. My son, Marianne Anderson, is now 14 years old and is in 7th grade. He's at Roosevelt Middle School. He's doing great. I have other children. I have 4 boys and 1 girl. So at that time, it was just me and Marianne at that time. I got older kids. But anyway, this is a new funding. This funding will help families like myself that are in need of support. I just really want to thank Mayor Farrell for allowing me to stand here and say my little speech. And I just want to thank him and Gliffy for the lifeline that they're providing for Compass. Thank you very much.
Ethel, thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. And Compass, thank you all so much for hosting this event and for all the great work that you do. And a special thanks to everyone from Gliffy for your generosity and your belief that things can get better in San Francisco. And thank you all for coming today. Have a great day.